All right.
Assalamu alaikum, dear believers, and happy Sunday. I want to, first of all, welcome you all. I am Dr. Aisha Alameen from Masjid Al Taqwa. I serve as the chair of the Taleem committee along with my wonderful colleagues, Dr. Gloria Bashir and Dr. Lionel Allen. And as always, we are happy to bring you, we have so many exceptional folks in our community with such a wealth of knowledge. And I'm honored to be able to showcase our knowledge. You know, we have just, if you go on our YouTube channel, if you aren't able to catch our Taleem for any reason, you can always go on there and you'll be able to see all of the Taleem from the past. We also have our Jumas on there. So today, I have the great honor of I could have called you doctor after our last conversation, but I won't because I know it's gonna come. I have the honor of introducing Jamila Mayoon, which I'm sure all of you know, and if you don't, you should know her. She is an author of several books that are very enjoyable. Um, Today, she'll be talking about telling our story, why and how to start Islamic publishing. So it's one thing to write, and there's another thing to publish. And so to have such knowledge in our community is one thing, but it's another thing to have that shared amongst us. We know that all knowledge comes from Allah, so we are grateful for our sister Mayun for sharing her knowledge well with us, because we grow and expand when we share the knowledge that Allah has blessed us with. So without further ado, I welcome Sister Mayun to share some of her knowledge around publishing with the community, inshallah.
All right. So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuhu. I'm opening with the greetings of peace and blessings to everyone who this message reaches. May Allah have mercy on you and guide you in all of your endeavors and make you successful in whatever you do. And inshallah, if there's a way you can use it that also helps this community to grow and to thrive and to connect, then even more so, may Allah bless you in it. But whatever, I'm a strong believer that whatever Allah calls you to do, then that's what you can do. There are no unimportant jobs in a community. There are no unimportant jobs in the community. And so opening by testifying that there is certainly no God worthy of worship except Allah, and that Muhammad was his slave, servant, and messenger. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. So, um, excuse me if I'm a little shy, because this is something that's very dear to my heart, but it's also very personal. So I could talk forever about children, your children, what we need to do, but when it's personal, it's a little more difficult. So forgive me. I want to start first. The title of this Taleem today is Why and How Muslims Should Engage in Publishing. So I want to start by first recognizing our strong tradition of storytelling as Muslims. So the great miracle of Islam is our Quran. It's literally this wonderful book that Allah has gifted our community with, that no other book could compare for various reasons. Even its very longevity speaks to its miraculousness. So we come from a tradition of people who, Islamically, of people who share these stories of the prophets, stories of their lives in minute details, down to how they wash their hands, how they prepare for prayer. And so we know the power of storytelling. And it's unique that this book was given in a community, in an area of the world, the Middle East and Africa, where the preciseness of telling a story is so revered. We know from our studies of African, West African, North African tradition, especially West African tradition, the role of the griot in passing down stories. This was a job, a revered job, of the importance of preserving stories. So even as we come closer to modern times, we get our beautiful history of our Muhammad Speaks and what eventually became, Baladi News, which today is the Muslim Journal. But it gives us a documentation of our journey as Muslims in this country. And again, stressing how important it is that we document and record our stories. As as we all know, if we don't tell our stories, someone else will. These stories will be told, but it's important that it be told. Like if you're a historian, you get first person sources, which are the most relevant, the most important, is the direct stories of the people who lived it. And then we get second story and other sources. But those first person sources are the ones that are the most trusted, because we we have the opportunity to hear the story directly, even if it's 100 years later, to hear the story directly from the people who actually lived it. And if you don't believe that you are living history right now, you and your parents, and this is a very important moment in history for Muslims in America, continuing this journey that goes back to the 30s and 40s, and how it has transformed Islam in this country and made it possible for Islam to thrive in this country by breaking down walls that weren't broken down before. So it's very important that we tell our stories. I was at a workshop and I had the chance to sit at a table with some Muslims. This was a Muslim workshop.
With that, I'm fine. I thought it was
Muslim workshop on a workshop on Muslim mental health. Muslim mental health workshop. And it was very enlightening workshop. It's beautiful. This information is very important. How do we deal with mental health in our community? But the point is, I was sitting at the table with someone of another community, and when she found out that I was from, this tradition, and I went to Sister Clara Muhammad School, and she was like, "Oh, that's wonderful." She was like, "I just gave a whole thesis paper on Sister Clara Muhammad and the school, and I did a lot of research, and I'm considering writing a book on her life." And I was like, "Wow, great, wonderful. Who did you talk to?" And she got no sources from people who actually went to the school. She's in Chicago. I was like, you couldn't find a single person who went to the school, or her granddaughters live here, her great grandchildren, at this time, I think she still had a son who was alive in the community. And I was like, you talked to no one? But yet she felt that what she had gathered was adequate enough for her to tell that story. And to me, I was just appalled, because the source material is available. Sometimes we write story, there's no source material. You have to go to second stories, check history books and so on, but the sources were still available. So that's, why I feel that we should tell our stories. And I also feel that it's not just from the nonfiction aspect. I do not typically write nonfiction. I write fiction stories, but I feel that even for fiction stories, that even for fiction stories, it's very important that we recognize, as they say, representation matters. This is the whole catchword. Representation matters, and it does. I write romance fiction, and I write it under my pen name, Sophia Ali, from a Muslim perspective. And the reason is one of my reasonings for that is that I know that people, men and women, love these types of stories. But is there stories that tell, if you're part of this culture, you think that every romance begins with they go on dates, their boyfriend and girlfriend, then they fall in love and they end up getting married. But we have a different journey in our Dean, and so it becomes important. What does that journey look like? Is that journey, how does that journey fit in with the narrative of this culture and that society? Is there a place for it? I hear from when I talk to young people, and I talk to young people a lot, I hear one of the things I hear is like, how do you fall in love if you don't date? How do you get to know someone? What do you do? What does that look like? And what they really mean is, what does that look like? What does that look like? How does that work? And so I could tell them, you need a wali. You may not have a wali. This is what you can do. I can talk to them all day long, but they really want to know, what does that look like? And as people, we want to know, what could that look like? What could that feel like? Because we're emotional creatures. So it's another reason to tell our stories. What does it feel like if you're a tween or a teen going to a public school and your hair is covered, or you're the only one who covers your hair, or you go to a community where everybody covers their hair except you? Maybe it's the opposite. What does that look like? What does that feel like? How do we process these emotions? So we have a strong, other communities are really pushing right now, other groups of people, let's say, to say, we want to be included. We want you to tell our stories. Our kids are committing suicide or are dealing with mental health problems because they don't have representation. You guys have got to represent us too. So where do we, say, well, we also want to be included in the table? And especially for us as African Americans, because now we're seeing a few more, people pop up. You'll see a few more Asian Muslims, Indo-Pak, Arab Muslims may be in a movie, and you may see a few women in hijab in a movie or a show. Well, where are we? We are, really the first generation of Muslims in this country, American Muslims. And when they think, oh, we need to stick a Muslim in here somewhere, you can see it even in a commercial, oh, make sure we have, some random Muslim girl walk down the street. They got a crowd of people, and these decisions are made on purpose. They're not accidental. They'll say to themselves, we need this many African Americans, we need this many Asians, this is what we want our crowd to, if we're going to do a crowd scene, this is what we want the crowd scene to look like. Oh, make sure we stick in a Muslim person. And of course, when they do a crowd scene, they want somebody to be easily identified as a Muslim at a distance. They pick a woman in hijab that's easily identifiable. But it's not us that they're thinking in their mind, because even among them, movie producers and writers at commercial, they often don't think, oh yeah, what about some African American Muslims who is not a stereotype, is not an ex-convict, is not a radical person fighting the power. We are all those things. Alhamdulillah, we're a lot of things, but we have to be at the forefront of telling our stories. We are going to be included in more stories, believe that. We have to make sure that we bring people to the table in ways that we craft our vision of ourselves, okay? So, sorry. So that being said, that's the end of that. You say to yourself, yes, I want to get started, Jamila, but I don't know how to write a book. I can't write a book. First of all, you can, because everybody has a story to tell. Everybody has a story to tell. Now, you may not want to share it, or you may think your grammar skills are not there with it. We got fixes for all of that. Believe me, There is a way to get help with all of that. So the first thing is to decide, where do I fit in telling my story? So maybe you don't want to do a book. Maybe you could do a blog. We need Muslim bloggers. We need Muslim influencers. When I go to market my book, I immediately search for who are the Muslim influencers out there? Who are the Muslim bloggers? And among us as African American Muslims in particular, it's harder to find. But in general, their numbers are not huge. If the person is not, we're seeing increasing numbers of Muslim bloggers and podcasters who are teaching the religion. Alhamdulillah. Wonderful, wonderful. You can sit down every day of the year almost and find someone to talk about the religion or the deen or answer your question. And these are not just lightweight people. These are people who have actually studied and have good reference and citations and reputable sources to give this information. But again, the representation from ourselves is important. And I know the Imam is listening, and I know he had a blog and a podcast. And so if he says to himself, yeah, she's right, I got to get back on it. But we need more. We need more. So a podcast, a blog, these are all things that can be done now easily from your home. You used to be able to need a studio to do these things and a lot of fancy equipment. And now people are doing these things on their iPhone or Android phone and having phenomenal results. And it's important. You should say to yourself, where do I fit in getting, making sure that my community is represented? So in the nonfiction arena, of course, there are books. And for myself, not only do I have fiction books, I do workbooks for children, which are journal books. We have what we consider low content books, which sell very well. These are your day journals. It could just be a picture of an African American on the outside of a book, and it just with the words like Bismillah. You'll see some of these sometimes. They'll just say Inshallah. You open it up, it's just blank pages for somebody to do their journal. Or it'll be a journal where you write, it may have calendar, and it'll say something like, today's goals, what I thought about today, what inspired me today, what I'm grateful for today. And these books are so simple and easy to produce. I have a couple out. This type of publishing is called, if it's nothing inside, just blank pages and an illustration on the outside, and it doesn't have to be an illustration, you could just say Bismillah. These are called no content book. Can you believe that? People making money without having written a word. No content book. These books have nothing inside, just blank pages or lined pages. Maybe some sort of inspirational quote on the outside. Could even be just like a hadith. Part of someone's being a good Muslim is they leave alone that which does not concern him. Put that on the front cover. Maybe not that one. I don't know if that's inspirational, but it is true. So then you have low content books. Low content book would be your gratitude journal. Maybe I should write that. Low content book would be your gratitude journal. Quran reflections. I fall for this every year. Every Ramadan, I buy one of these journals, and you're supposed to write your reflections from the Quran as you read and what you did for Ramadan and how much sadaqah you did. It tracks gorgeous, wonderful books. I get a new one every year. And then I do only 3 pages because I get busy. But people are hungry for those books. I have a friend who has a young child. She was like, please, please, please make a thank you gratitude journal for my daughter who's 10. And these books are easy to produce. And because they are consumable, meaning that if I ever finish my Quran journal, then I need the next one for the next year. So people buy a new, me, even though I haven't finished one, buy a new one every year. So it is a market that we consider evergreen. And by evergreen, it means that if you put this book out and promote it, this is something that you can do for years. And it is something that you can teach your children to do. And they can earn money off of it for the rest of their life. It could be 100 years old, their grandchildren. Someone bought their Quran journal or their gratitude journal book, and they got paid for it. You don't make a fortune doing one book, but the key to publishing is consistency and frequency, to have more than one product available, but you can have one and just push it. But my point is that anyone can do this, and it's easy to do. No content and low content. And it's easy also to hire someone. Say you say, I would love to do one that just has a beautiful graphic and it says Bismillah. It's easy to find people, including Muslim people, who will make the design for you. So they made the entire design. You can even find their websites to get just the blank pages. You download the pages, and somebody, made the pages, they made the design, they put the whole thing together for you, and then you put it up on Amazon, and you did not have to, and that might cost you $20. If you go through a company I use myself called Fiverr, and there you can find all kinds of artists and graphic artists. There's one guy helps work on my covers and some covers of my friends, and he charges us $10, and the covers are fantastic, top-notch design. You can go through another company. Let me write that down. Sorry. Give you guys some. The company was called Fiverr.com. Fiverr.com. So if you go to Fiverr.com, you'll find the original idea was that you could provide services or find services for $5. So now the services, they've moved up. Everybody offers something for $5. Some people do 10, 15, 20. But again, quality products that you can find for a fraction of the cost. Some people will say they'll do their whole book for you. And if you put the book up on Amazon, the reason why most books now are sold through Amazon is because Amazon doesn't charge you any price up front. So to publish a book, a paper book, you incur the price of the paper itself, the price of the cardstock or whatever they use to bind the book, the ink and anything with color is going to be more ink. So it used to be very cost prohibitive to create a book and then send it to a publisher to produce. So now Amazon charges you nothing, $0 to produce a book online upfront. They take their money as a percent when someone purchases the book. So they send you a percentage and they keep a percentage, but you've paid nothing upfront, and you can advertise this book forever and they will send you your payment forever, inshallah. So, and then if you make enough money and you decide I don't want to use Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Apple Books. Apple Book is probably the most difficult, but they all have similar programs for ebooks. I'm not sure how their low content books work because they are not, they deal more with ebooks. But Amazon now, you can even do a hardback book, and you can also now do a spiral. So it's a notebook with a wire ring spiral, so the book opens and closes. So you have a lot of options. So nonfiction or fiction, you have your blog, your podcast, for people who don't want to write, but they just want to. This is the perfect side hustle. It's a great side hustle. It doesn't cost a lot of money to get started. That's what makes a great side hustle. It's a great side hustle for children. My youngest daughter made a notebook. She made one and then she quit, but she made one so she could say, I have a book that I made. There is so you have your no content, your low content. All right, so what about high content books? Books with a story. So again, of course, you have your nonfiction books, and okay, we'll answer the questions at the end. I see someone put up a question, so let's answer that at the end. But the nonfiction books, you can make the fiction books. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the answer. But the fiction books, or even nonfiction books, are easy, simple, and easy to make. The one book I just looked at was it's a writing podcast that I follow. It's called The Writing Gals. And the Writing Gals are 3 author friends who get together and talk, just a regular podcast. So they have put out a book now, which is literally just a transcript of the podcast. Like no new content. It's just word for word. They shaped it a little bit, made the questions bold. So they did some little formatting things, and they organized it by topics. But it's just a narration of their podcast. So I thought, wow, can you just do that now? People not even really trying hard. But the subject was something I was interested in. So I was like, yeah, I got to buy this book. Because I listen to the podcast, I take notes on the podcast, but now I have it in a book and it's right there at my fingertips. And a lot of people prefer that. So if you have a podcast, Brother Imam, others, you can do this now. You could just have someone collect, you could say, Bridging the Gap, the collected interviews. And you can put them all in a book form and people will purchase this. And it creates another stream of revenue for your podcast. So you have your podcast and then you have your book. And the book, you say at the end of each interview, if you would like more on this subject, you see it all the time. You would like more on this subject, download the book. Or people do the reverse. They create a very short booklet. Amazon has minimum page requirements, but it's very short, like 3 pages. 10 pages is a small amount. And so some people create, say your podcast is about making money in the stock market. So they'll put out in their advertisement, download my book on making money in the stock market. But the only reason they're making that book is because they want you to go to their podcast and buy something. We call this a reader magnet. So you get someone to read something so that it leads them into the purchase of something else or into some other activity you want them to do. So that's why you see now everywhere, sign up for my newsletter and receive this book. You see it everywhere because it's so easy to do. If you decide to make your book and you say, I don't know, I don't have time to sit down and type, I'm not a good typist, so on. So now we have, here you go, all you need right here in the palm of your hand. There is Otter.ai, which you can use for free. And other AI, artificial intelligence, that will transcribe your narration. And even it is also on Google Docs and Microsoft Word. Click in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a little microphone, tap the microphone, and it will ask you if you want to dictate. You can put your settings to however you would like to, and then you write, you just speak. You speak, and I know several people who do this even while they're on their treadmill. Just turn on their microphone and start talking. Not sure how good of a workout they're getting. They could talk, but they're on their treadmill, they're on their stationary bike, they're walking the track. I have personally done it walking the track by my house. So you can just simply turn on your microphone as you're driving home from work and start working on your book. So one of the big things that a lot of authors, especially fiction authors, face is that they start and they never finish. So you say to yourself, yeah, I have about 4 chapters of a book, but I never stopped. I got kind of stuck. Well, they got an app for that. You could go to a place, I like this one, even if you don't know what you want to write. And again, AI, they claim that they could write your whole book. I would not trust it. But what a lot of these AIs do is you could put in your idea and click brainstorm, for example, with this one, and they'll give you a whole plot by plot. Like say I put in, there's a new werewolf in town, and that's all you put. And they'll be like, oh, the werewolf comes to town. He's searching for his missing sister. She vanished with the Lion King, and they went on a rampage. And so he has to chase her down. It will take it step by step. Anytime you get stuck, if you get stuck somewhere, you could say, oh, I don't know where to go with this story from here. And they would take it the rest of the way. Sometimes I play around with it sometimes just to see what the technology is up to now. And I'm like, wow, okay, didn't think of all of that, but amazing. So they say they're going to get to a point where the whole book can be written by AI. I do not know if they're there yet, but they can be very helpful. I hate writing descriptions, so I could put my text in, hit click and say, can you make this a little more descriptive for me? Pseudo-write is not free. Can you make this a little more descriptive for me? And they can. It's amazing. Once you have your story down, so you say to yourself, I got all these mistakes. I don't know if this is grammar. Should I put the quotation mark here? And did I spell this right? So of course, if you're doing it in something like Microsoft Word or Google Docs, of course, it's going to highlight your mistakes and do some basic editing for you. But it's not really for writing a book. It's going to give you an idea. So the number one problem people have, what will kill your book sales, and especially future book sales, is a lot of typos and grammar errors. So if you read the reviews on a book, say the book was good, but I did not finish because it was so filled with mistakes. This is critical. These are 3 things that sell your book: the cover, the blurb. The blurb is the book description, and the content itself. So you want to deliver quality books. Yes, we want more Muslim content, but we want quality also. I used to hate when I would go into a community and they would say, oh, someone Muslim opened up a store, and then you go in the store and you're like, but I'm not going to support you and you're in my community and you're not giving me quality products. I want to support you because you're Muslim, but you have to still deliver quality products. So I say, make sure of your content, because you can hook someone with your cover and then the blurb takes it from there. But once they start reading, if it's full of typos, and I have a good friend who's a writer and her books are full of typos. I tell her, girl, you gotta fix that. And she is like, it's okay. And she sells some books, but she gets terrible reviews. But she's just in it for the quick money. That's it. She make her quick money and go. So now Amazon, if you read a book and at the end, it'll say you can report this book. If you hit report this book and it says, you know, there were a lot of mistakes or whatever, Amazon will remove that book and contact that author and say, you need to fix these changes. And if you don't, they will block you. They can even block you from producing any more books now, because they're trying to get serious about the content. They're trying to get more serious about their content. Regarding content, so the problem that we face, I write 2 lines. I write my Muslim romance, Islam-inspired romance books, and then I write traditional books also. My traditional books fly. My latest release is doing like 45 copies a day of people reading it. It's doing great. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. But my Muslim releases maybe 1 book a day or so. Sorry about that. Maybe 1 book a day or so, maybe 2 books. So people, my best friend, she's like, quit writing that other stuff. Write some more Muslim books. I was like, I need y'all Muslims to support these books. Nobody's going to want to continue writing if they don't feel like people are. So here's the dilemma. No one's going to want to continue writing if they feel like people aren't going to buy it. Because I could do Sadaka other ways. Book writing can be, you know, you got to edit, you got to write, you got to think, you got to re-edit. Ernest Hemingway said, writing is writing and rewriting. And he's right. Like you write it and then you rewrite it and then you rewrite it again. So especially fiction, nonfiction, not as much, but fiction for sure, rewrite. So you have to, for Muslim fiction, we are currently trying our best. Last year we did the Ramadan nights for just 1 season and the sales were, and so we said we're gonna do it again, but we realized we gotta keep at it. And so we're gonna try and develop a structure where we release a book every month, one of us Muslim authors, because we're creating a new genre of books. And it could be Muslim science fiction, it could be Muslim paranormal, it could be Muslim, but the point is, it's a new genre of books. And to find that genre, we have to create it. So it's not going to be easy. And I'm not encouraging you to say, only write Muslim books. However, we need you to write Muslim books. So, but you have to recognize that this is going to be swimming against the tide, because we're determined to do this. And we're determined to do this, but we have to understand that we are looking for that audience. We see these books, when you look up Muslim books, most of the books are written by people of other nationalities. A lot of Muslim books are out of London, and also some Indo-Pak writers who are doing fantastic job. I mean, they're great, they're funny, they're cute, they're introspective. Sometimes they're heartbreaking, but we have to read Muslim literature as well. In Amazon, all books are broken into categories. There is no category for Muslim literature. Christian literature, Judaic literature, there's no category for Muslim literature at all. So I can't even advertise my book as Muslim literature. So we are seriously, when I say we're trying to create something new, we are creating something new. You write your book, you edit it, you get it edited. Again, there are editors on Fiverr. I wouldn't recommend Fiverr for editor. For editing, I would probably use Upwork. Oh, I hope I spelled that wrong. Right. I can't remember if it's Upwork with a K or Upwork with an X. But anyway, they're a company of freelancers, and you can find a freelance editor to look over your story. You can even contact if you see a Muslim, or it doesn't have to be Muslim. You could find someone who's in publishing, a writer, author, and ask them who edits your book. You can even look in a book. Sometimes it'll say next to the author's name, edited by Fatima. That's somebody I know, Fatima Biku Shaw. She'll be happy to edit your book. The editing costs money, and you want to make your book as error-free as possible before you send it to the editor, because you want to do as much as you can. And of course, there are different types of editors. You may just be looking, some people are actually looking at your book to try and determine, does the book flow? Did you say that the girl was 25 and then at the end you said she was 30 and your readers are confused? So there's different types of editing. Someone who looks at that, someone who looks at the others, the continuity, the story structure. Is it going fast? Is it going slow? Is the pacing? Does it make sense? That's one type of editing. And then you have someone who's just a proofreader. Their job is just to find grammatical errors. Some people do both. Proofreader, line editor, goes through line by line looking for mistakes in grammar and spelling. At the bare minimum, you should have someone to do that. You can also, if you can't afford it at all, you can use a program I personally use. I'm trying to think what's the name of it. It's called Pro Writing Aid. If you say to yourself, oh, I see Grammarly, maybe I should get Grammarly, I would recommend Pro Writing Aid instead, because they are for writers. And what I love about Pro Writing Aid is not only does it make the correction, it teaches you, like if it's my personal correction that bing, bing all the time is passive voice. So it'll say, do you want to watch a video about passive voice? It teaches you your mistakes, helps you to correct them. One that I used at first because it was so thorough, but I don't use it anymore, is also the most expensive, was AutoCrit. Expensive, but maybe $200 for the year, compared to Pro Writing Aid was like, with the promo code, which I think are available everywhere, $99 forever, versus something like AutoCrit where you pay every year. But they also have some promo codes out there. But they break it down in detail, your mistakes, they suggestions, it's thorough report. It'll highlight, it compares your text to other authors. If I say, you know, I'm romance, I want to write like Nora Roberts, they'll compare my book to her book and say, well, you're using more passive voice than she uses, and you're using, so they have all these comparisons that they make, and the tone and quality, they're excellent, very detailed. Especially, I used it for my first few books, and it really helped me improve. But over time, because it's so thorough, it's like too much information. I can't fix everything, it's too much information, really. Once you get into the writing habit. So then I switched to Pro Writing Aid because that was better for my needs. And my first few books I produced with no editor, but I have a strong background in English history. And the other thing that you could do is solicit for what we call a beta reader. You have your alpha reader and you have your beta readers. So alpha reader is who you give like your rough draft, and you just like, hey, I should look at this for me. Tell me what you think. And she gives it back to you. Your beta reader is when the book is almost ready to go. And then you have a group, you gather your street team, you have a group of people, and you say, here's the book I'm getting ready to produce. Before I put it out there, I just want you to read it. And they will read it and love it, or, and they'll make some suggestions. They're like, hey, page 20 is missing. And you're like, I didn't even realize that. As we all know, the more times you read your own writing, the less of your mistakes you see. Because as you read, you're hearing the voice in your head. So you're reading even though that may not be what's on the paper, you're reading what you intended to write. So it's always so important to have a second pair of eyes, or third pair of eyes, or fourth pair of eyes to look at it. And that's your beta reader. So they're not making changes, or they're not actively, critiquing it. That's your alpha reader. Your beta reader is before it's ready to go. But don't pick your cousin or your mama or somebody who's going to say like, I love it. I love when people say they love it, but I'm like, no, really, tell me. Did you see some mistakes? Did you? So you have to pick people who love you and not going to hurt your feelings, but they are going to tell you the truth, especially if they see a mistake. And that can be several people. Another problem with beta readers is because they'll say, oh, why did you have to kill Johnny, or something like that. You can't, when you get to beta stage, you're like, no, it was my idea to kill Johnny, and he's dead. Johnny's dead. That's it. I really like that character. So your alpha reader could say, I think this doesn't work for the story. Johnny's too strong of a character, and he would not go out like that. I don't like this story. But your beta readers that's not where you want them to be. You don't want to make style choices or content choices when you get to beta stage, because that's the last group of readers before you actually send it off for publication. And uploading to Kindle, I need to check my time. Uploading to Kindle is easy and quick. It doesn't take much. Oh, we almost out of time. I'm sorry. Uploading to Kindle is easy and quick. It doesn't take a lot of time. I'm sorry. So much information. As you can see, I really enjoy this topic, and I enjoy what I do. I'm happy to. This is my primary source of income now, and like I said, I'm not rich. And I'm not getting rich yet, inshallah. But I wanted to be, when I was younger, I said to myself, I would read books. I've always been a book lover. And I was like, wouldn't it be great if you could just stay home and write books? Like, that's your job. And now it is, alhamdulillah. What you speak, alhamdulillah. So okay, so let me get to these questions right quick. But I want to say I am starting a new business, book coaching business, where I will be helping people who want to write and produce books. Is that old people? Yep, that's it. Okay, I'll be starting a new business. I'll be writing and producing books, helping people who want to get their book off. And I'll be doing this through coaching calls and a series of like little small one-on-one workshops where we can talk about it and work through it. Starting this as a consulting business. And the first call, a 20-minute call, is free. So if you would like to spend one-on-one time with me talking about your book or answering your questions, you can certainly reach me through my company, Book Pathways 101@gmail.com. So now let's go through these questions. Very quickly. Go back as far as we can.
I think one of them was, how much can you make on, like per book and journal, like content, no content, fictional? Are they different? Is there a percentage? How does that work?
Okay, the percentage is the same for all of Amazon's books. Anything priced under $2.99. That's why you see a lot of books moving to $2.99. Anything from 99 cents from $2.99, Amazon takes only gives you 35% royalty. If your book is at $2.99 or more, Amazon gives you 70% royalty. So they're really pushing you towards 70%. But of that 70%, they are going to remove their production costs. So for an ebook, a $2.99 ebook, I might make between $1.89 and $2.09. I've gotten really, really good at knowing the exchange rates from different countries because my books sell worldwide. So for example, I might make $2 off the book in the USA, but I might make $2.35 off the book in London because the exchange rate is 1.33. I know it by heart now. And of course that changes every day. And then in Canada, if I make $2.09 in the USA, in Canada, I might make $1.87 because their dollar, the difference in their dollar and our dollar. So it depends on where it is. So for, let's say, 200-page book, this is an actual fiction book, a small book, they charge me, even for e-cost, they might take their transmission costs or whatever, might be about 10 cents, maybe, not much. I priced my journals at first at about $12. They weren't selling at that price at all, so I lowered it to $7. When I lowered it to $7, production costs, I still ended up making about $2.50 a book, $2-3 a book. So between $7 and $9, you'll probably be making $2 or $3 a book on a paperback book. Of course, if it's a hardback book, it's going to be even more expensive. And if it has any color inside, my books inside are black and white. They're just pieces of paper with black lines. Any color inside, that price shoots way up. But there is a company you can go through. Shoot. There's several companies. I'm trying to think of the one that I use where they send it to all the companies. I pretty much stay exclusive with Amazon, but there are companies for free that will market your book, sell your book through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and Apple Books. One thing, if you publish your book through Amazon for free, you get assigned an Amazon ISBN number, which is the International Book Tracking Number. When you want to put your book in the library will not take that book easily. They do not want to use Amazon at the library. It's better to buy your own copyright if you would like to see your books in libraries and so on. And you would go through Boker to do that. Okay, let me see some more questions.
It's another one here about your pen name for your traditional books. Is it the same name so folks can?
Absolutely not. Next question. I will not be putting that out there on through this channel. Anyone who wants to contact me privately may do so.
Now I gotta see what you're writing about when you can tell us. Okay. There's another one, and it looks like we're gonna have to try to see if we can get another Taleem from you. This has been so powerful. There's questions about how do you write in dialogue? How do we change Amazon so that they do have a category? So we want to both advocate and learn more from you. And of course, we only have about a minute left. So I don't know if you want to try to answer
changing the
those,
categories is just a matter of us just keep requesting. You can even contact Amazon directly and say, can you make a Muslim book category? They're really interested in keeping readers happy and users happy. So you can say, I went to look for Muslim books, I couldn't find it. And can you create a Muslim book category? And just keep requesting it. Like when you go through the search bar, just put Muslim book, Muslim romance. If they see it's like a lot of people asking for this, they will develop. So please support Muslim books. Definitely. Next question. What was the next question?
Well, we're out of time, so I want to. But see, this gives people a reason to join in again as you continue this great work. You are a wealth of knowledge and a blessing for the community, and just thank you for sharing. Just thank you for sharing this with us and your works. Even the works that you're not telling us about, we'll find out about those as well. But alhamdulillah, I'm gonna just close with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you. Everyone for joining us. Thank you, Sister Mayoun, for the works that you do on behalf of the community. You are a beautiful representation of the community. May Allah continue to bless you and guide you on your pathway to exposing the world to Muslim authors, inshallah. Amen.
And I'm going to put the link up right quick for the others to the what's it called? To the books on Amazon, the Muslim series. So if anyone wants to join or purchase, download any of the books from my Muslim authors, that would be wonderful. And don't forget, you can also reach me directly, bookpathways101@gmail.com, if you'd like to set up your free 20-minute consultation call.
Yes, everyone, please do. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.